Hello, I'm Tom Hayes, Director of Customer and Community Relations for New Jersey Natural Gas, and your host for SCAN's Community Connections. It's a great program where we really like to introduce you to wonderful folks in the community doing the great work that they do. And speaking of those folks, today I have a wonderful guest, Sue Marticek, who's Executive Director of the Ocean County Long-Term Recovery Group. So Sue, welcome.
Thank you so much, Tom.
It's great to have you here. I know I happen to work with you on this long-term recovery group, and it is long-term recovery, isn't it?
Absolutely. When we first started this disaster, I remember FEMA saying that it was going to be a 5 to 7 year operation. And at that time, people were taken back and they were saying, really? And here we are at 5 years, and we still have some ways to go.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. You know, being there at the beginning like yourself, it was almost like mayhem. It was like crazy trying to figure out how to get the right people together and who was going to lead the ship and how we're going to get this all together. I remember being involved with both the United Ways of both counties, and they were right up there, and you know, it was nuts. But the group really came together well and gelled, and it really has done remarkable stuff. So you tell me, at this point, how do you feel it's gone so far?
Well, the recovery so far has been challenging. I think for New Jersey, the first time at the rodeo with this type of event really has challenged us on a local level, a state level, and also on a federal level. We have one operation that is going on right now, and it is an initiative that to go into the municipalities and to actually kind of get the data to find out really where are we. Mm-hmm. One of the interesting things that we have learned is that we never centrally collected the data for our state. So it is really hard to define how many people are back home. So I'm thankful to the New Jersey Natural Gas and for Rutgers of taking the initiative and the support to allow a project like that, because in order to make any changes going forward, we have to first assess where we are, what happened here. So again, I want to thank New Jersey Natural Gas, and that study should be put out by Rutgers in the fall, and we're hoping that we can get some insights, we can share them with our local legislators as well as our federal politicians and see if we can improve on these recovery systems.
Right. It is again remarkable when you think of that whole process. So Superstorm Sandy comes along, wreaks all this havoc, and all these agencies kind of come together. Now, a lot of the agencies that are part of the long-term recovery group are just local chapters of whether it's the Red Cross or the United Way, or you know, all these folks, the Salvation Army, all these great folks. And then you had just a couple, I would say, like businesses, like Ocean First has been phenomenal. You know, I know we've been there since day one too, and you know, but all these groups kind of come together. Nobody's really an expert in this kind of stuff. And then you have the state agencies and federal agencies who are supposed to be the experts in this, and it was hard for them. We saw that they were kind of on a learning curve to some degree also, which was kind of amazing when you think of how this whole thing kind of comes together.
Oh, absolutely. So, you know, you have the individual person that went to bed expecting a bad storm and woke up in a nightmare, and for some, they're still in this nightmare.
5 years later, right?
But the same thing for the towns, you know, they went to bed and expected that their towns would be having a bad storm event, but I don't think that any of them anticipated what we are seeing has happened here in New Jersey.
Right.
So it is an ongoing process, but I think that if we can continue to try to keep working together in the community, and you're right, we've had the advantage of working with government, with businesses, and nonprofits together. And although in the beginning it certainly didn't seem like that was a spontaneous occurrence, here we are at almost 5 years, and you really realize that that is the best way to handle such a complex problem, is really having everybody working together.
Right, and it really was important because there were a lot of good ideas, a lot of really amazing services, collaborations, and I really do feel as a group we kind of bonded for this cause of helping our neighbors, which is so critical because where else are they going to turn?
Yeah, so FEMA has realized that throughout the history of disasters that ultimately the community is there first in a disaster and the community is there last in a disaster. And in between, there's a lot of business things that take place, whether it is dealing with your insurance company, dealing with grants, dealing with loans. But at some point, the community is going to be left with everybody else who has not made it home. So we're kind of approaching that part right now where people have made it back home because they had their own resources or they were able to garner the resources they needed to get back home. And now we're getting to the point where these are the hardest cases and that people are still struggling to get a pathway home. And a lot of it has to do with not having the funding they need to get back home.
Right, which is incredible. And again, I know it's hard on everyone. And when you talk about the towns, in their cases, they lost an awful lot of tax revenue and, were hard hit with a lot of the services they had to try to provide in the midst of all this recovery. And, there's a lot of overtime hours, a lot of expenses. And it's tough. And as you say, some of these folks are still not in their homes and there's still not taxes being paid. And, all those issues that most of the world doesn't even think of. And one of the things we were kind of afraid of and knew would happen all along was that, a year or two after, people thought it was done and everything was fine. And here we are 5 years later, and it's still not. And there's still some families that are really struggling to keep it all together.
So I always like to say that we're a nation that has ADD, right? So
Yes.
We're always ready to move on to the next thing. So here we are at 5 years, and Sandy is basically old news. We were very fortunate that we had big media attention in the beginning of this disaster. We had a roller coaster that was floating out there in the water.
Thank goodness, right, for that because of the media, right? You're
Exactly.
right. If it wasn't out there, we probably had gotten a third of the media attention.
So that really kind of started us off, at least with some big financial resources and donations raised. But at this point, at 5 years later, almost all of that money is no longer around. So
Right.
our nonprofit partners who have worked so hard with us hand in hand, unfortunately, some of that funding they haven't been able to get additional funding, so
Right.
they have slowly but surely had a kind of sunset. So for instance, we started off with 14 different long-term recovery groups in New Jersey, and Ocean County Long-Term Recovery Group being one of them. At this point, we are the only people that are left.
Right.
So starting last year, not only did we just take care of our residents in Ocean County, we had to open up to everybody in the state because otherwise we felt that there was no other entity out there to help guide these people. So we've been very busy for the past year and a half kind of working with the entire state.
Right. And you have been doing a great job. I do have to say that and really commend you publicly to say that you've done a wonderful job steering the ship and you're very down to earth and very business savvy and you have, not afraid to speak up and go down to Washington, D.C. on our behalf and speak to our public officials and, educate them sometimes on some things they're not quite aware of, and again, I'm not knocking them. They worked hard to try to help and all that, but there's still work to be done and more information to get out there. So when we talk about challenges, what are some of the top challenges that come to mind in terms of this whole process?
Well, if I can put it in a timeline, that may be the easiest way to do it. And like I said, so our homeowners went to bed expecting a bad storm on October 29th. They woke up with devastation that they've never seen before.
Right.
But even then, people really thought that they could take a few months and kind of piece things back together, their sheetrock, their furniture, bring it all together. But then in December, they find out that it is not just about building back their home. There's these new things that they have to be mindful of, which is called elevation. Now they have to build back their home in the air, 6 feet, 8 feet, 10 feet. So that's a game changer in December. And then, as we found out, a lot of our homeowners who had flood insurance got underpaid. So they find out that it's a new ball game. They were underpaid on their insurance. They have to find out about how to get involved with the state grant program,
Right.
which has its own complexities. And then, if they're lucky enough to navigate that path, now comes the big hammer, which is the contracting fraud that is happening in our state.
yeah,
And it
crazy.
is actually obscene how much money has been taken from these homeowners so desperate to get back home.
Amazing.
Tens of millions.
Amazing that people really actually do that. You know, you fear it and you think, well, it might happen here and there, but it's amazing how much of that has happened. Now, on the other flip side, what are some of the accomplishments that you're most proud of from the Ocean County Long-Term Recovery Group?
Well, I'm actually really very proud of our long-term recovery group. And when I say long-term recovery group, I mean that, yes, I have a staff. At one point, we had 17. I'm down to 7. But the long-term recovery groups throughout the entire state were really made from the community leaders, the organization, the faith-based groups that came together. So I'm happy to say in Ocean County, our long-term recovery group has been able to help over 5,000 people. We've raised $9.4 million.
Amazing.
We've given out over $6 million in direct services to homeowners. And I think the most important thing that we have been able to do is to be a guiding light for these people. Somebody who they can come to one of our workshops and learn, or they can come and make an appointment and work one-on-one with a disaster case manager, or just call us and know that somebody is going to pick up that phone. They are going to answer their questions, because that has been one of the big complaints that we hear consistently, is that people just had a lack of clarity of what to do. So I'm very, very proud of those accomplishments, and that we have been able to, I think, have a significant impact in our county, in our state. And now, as you said, we're trying to bring these lessons learned down to Washington and also help out other impacted areas like our coastline during Matthew last year.
Right. Now, if somebody wanted to get in touch with you and maybe make a donation, which would be great, or just want to learn information, or still needed some services, what's the best way for somebody to contact
They
your
should
organization?
pick up the phone immediately and give us a call. It's 732-349-3484.
Okay.
And if it's not them, if they know a neighbor that is out there that is having trouble, please encourage them to call us. It is amazing at almost 5 years that we still find people who are lost and don't know where to turn. So again, if it's not for themselves, if they know somebody through their work, their church, please let them contact us.
Right, great. Well, and again, you've done a wonderful job, and I really commend all the folks that were involved. Really, we had some really good meetings with some really good input. Everybody around that table, or tables, really has been all in. So it's great. Congratulations on all your hard work. And I know it's not over yet, so keep up the great work. It's a pleasure working with you. And again, the Long-Term Recovery Group and all the partners have really been wonderful. So thank you, Sue. We appreciate it. And we hope that people will reach out. And if they want to contribute or be involved, there's plenty of time to do that.
Okay,
Great.
you. Thank
Thank
you so
you,
much.
Sue. All right, well, thank you for watching Community Connections here at SCAN. We love having you with us every time, and we're going to be cutting away for a break, and we'll see you after that commercial break. Thank you very much.
Now's a great time to make your home more energy efficient, and the New Jersey Natural Gas Save Green project is here to help. Take advantage of rebates and incentives up to $15,000, designed to make your whole house more comfortable, improve performance, and save you money. Upgrade your older, inefficient heating equipment, central air conditioning system, and water heater with money-saving, high-efficiency equipment. But don't stop there. Your new equipment will have to work harder, wasting energy dollars if your home is not properly weatherized, by reducing air and duct leaks and installing proper insulation. Call the Save Green Project at 877-455-NJNG or visit SaveGreenProject.com, and we'll help you get on the road to maximum energy efficiency and savings, and explain how you may qualify for up to $15,000 in rebates and incentives. Call Save Green at 877-455-NJNG.
All right, well, welcome back to SCAN's Community Connections. Again, I'm your host, Tom Hayes. And for the second segment of the program today, we have another wonderful guest. And I'm really proud to introduce Jackeline Mejias-Fuertes, who is with the New Jersey Small Business Development
You're good.
Center
Correct.
at Brookdale Community College. So welcome, Jackeline. It's nice to
Thank
have you
you.
with us today.
Thank you, Tom.
And
Thank
I
you for
also
having
should
me.
mention you're also a fellow board member of the SCAN board here.
Yes, I am. I'm brand spanking new.
You're
Just came on the board.
Yes,
Happy
this
to
is
be
great.
here.
Which is great. It's great. It is nice to have you and appreciate all the great work that you do at Brookdale, and I'm sure that you'll be doing for those of us here at SCAN. So thank you. So tell us a little bit about what this with the Small Business Development Center is all about.
Okay. Well, the Small Business Development Center actually is part of a nationwide organization. It's a nonprofit organization that actually their main focus, their mission is to assist entrepreneurs and small business owners with starting and growing their business. So part of nationwide, you can find an SBDC in all 50 states as well as U.S. territories, which includes Guam, the Virgin Islands, Samoas. I think I covered everyone, and Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico,
How could I miss Puerto Rico? It includes Puerto Rico. Now, here in the state of New Jersey, we're actually called a network. We're considered NJSBDC's network. And that network consists of 12 centers strategically located throughout the state, covering all 21 counties. And the purpose of that is to provide our clients the opportunity to go wherever they need to in order to get the assistance needed to grow their business. So as I said before, the SBDC mission is simple, is through education and counseling, which is free at all times,
Nice.
and confidential at that, to assist the individual who's interested of achieving that American dream, starting a business, how difficult is it? And the beauty of this is part of our funding comes from the federal government. So some people tend to get us confused with SBA, and I always have to correct them. I said we are their technical support, one of the resources that they have out there. So the SBDC, what we do, thanks to the funding that we receive from tax dollars through SBA, is to make sure that we provide each individual with the education they need. We feel that that is extremely necessary in order to make sure you establish a solid foundation when you're looking to start your business. Once you're in business, we come back and we assist you even more by making sure that you receive all the other education that you need. So if you're starting a business and you don't know in the state of New Jersey, what does it require? Well, we have a startup class that'll make sure that you understand the legal entities, the tax ramifications behind it, what are you responsible for, what forms do you have to complete. So we make sure that you're okay with that. And then moving on is making sure that you do what's best for your organization, making sure that you are that you've obtained the knowledge you need, not just in the industry that you're going into, but in the business and management part of it.
Right.
So for us, it's really important. It's part of economic development. That's why we receive funding, because by helping small businesses, I'm sure, Tom, you know that small businesses are the backbone of America.
Absolutely.
We've heard that over and over, and we cover at the Small Business Development Center at Brookdale, both Monmouth and Ocean County. So those are our two regions that we
Great.
cover. And, you know, research and data shows that about 95% of the businesses, both in Monmouth and Ocean County, are small businesses. So they meet the criteria. We're here to help. And it doesn't matter how old you are, as long as you're an adult. We do have a new population that's coming to us, and we call them the Encore Entrepreneur. And it's part of why I've kind of gotten involved with SCAN, because it is those individuals that are over 50 that are starting to think and say, hey, I know I don't want to do this the rest of my life. What else can I do? I'm not ready to retire. I'm not my grandmother's, type.
Yes, right,
So
right,
now
right.
there's difference there. So, we go out of our way to make sure that we provide you with the information you need to make sure you take the necessary steps and the right steps, and to help you avoid the pitfalls that are out there.
Right. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot to that, because I used to actually manage our economic development department for the company, for the gas company years ago, and we worked with folks like your team and all that a lot with folks, because A lot of folks don't know how to put a business plan together. They don't realize they just want to go in a business. They want to start a bakery or something, whatever it is. And there's so many components to really running a business properly. And we don't want folks to lose that dream that they have. So we want to get them as prepared as possible, right? And that's your job. You want to really want to make sure they're set so they have the best fighting chance out there to be able to be successful. And not only for themselves and for their families, but for folks that they hire, for their community, for the state, you know. So it's all a win-win when we're helping folks with their small businesses.
And absolutely. And you did mention some crucial things. One is, if you come up with an idea, our job is to make sure that that idea is feasible. So before we even get them into developing that business plan, it's more about doing a feasibility study.
Right.
Is it worth it going into? Because you may think, a long time ago it was, if I create it, they will come. Well, that's not our life anymore,
No, unfortunately.
because of technology and everything
Yes.
else. No, now you have to be extremely strategic in what you do and how you do it, and it's important to plan.
Right.
So for our job, it's to make sure that if that individual is heart set on creating that business, achieving that American dream, being a business owner, it's our job to make sure, is this feasible? Do you have the capital to get it done?
Right.
It's not just the education. And we do get a great deal of people who are experts in their field, but have no idea on how to manage a business.
Right, it's
So I
two
said,
totally different things, isn't it?
it is, and that's where our expertise comes in. Our expertise really lies in making sure business management and business operations, and making sure you understand each and every one of those facets within the business organization in order for your business to be a success.
Right.
So we really work hard at it, and like I said, for us, we get them across the board. Some people say, is there a specific age for an entrepreneur? I'm like, no, never, ever. It's whenever you want to
That's
do
right.
it. You'll be really surprised at who comes through our office with ideas, feasible ideas that will make a difference, that will impact the communities that we live in,
Right.
and especially at the economic end.
Yeah, for sure. And again, as you mentioned, being a new board member of SCAN, we have a huge audience out there that needs to know that, hey, we want you to start up a business. If you're set to do it, don't say, oh, I can't do it, I'm past that or whatever. Absolutely not. A lot of folks have a lot of really, great brain power out there and have business acumen and a lot of different things. They might need a little tweaking to get them started, but hey, that's what you're there for, right?
Exactly.
Which
The
is
tweaking, that's
wonderful.
our part.
So you kind of talked a little bit about what you do and how a little bit. Are there more pieces to that process that
for
you'd like to
us,
mention?
There is. I mean, our headquarters is out of Rutgers Business School in Newark. That's where they manage all 12 centers, and we actually have specialty centers that come out of there. So those specialty centers, if we have someone who's interested in technology and commercialization, for example, and they want to take it on a bigger scale, we have a department that deals specifically with that. If someone is in business and they're looking to do international trade, we're there as well.
Great.
Along with that, there's a great deal of opportunities when it comes to doing business with the government. We have a department called procurement,
Nice.
which really focuses on doing business with the government, with larger organizations, making sure that there's set-asides that are out there already,
Right.
and they have to meet these goals. So we make it our job, our mission, to make sure that we prepare that business owner, that business, so they can have a fighting chance in getting an opportunity and doing work with the government or larger corporations as well.
That's really amazing because, again, that's another aspect of business that a lot of people may not think of and don't even realize they have opportunities there. And the fact that you can help them kind of open those doors or be prepared to do so is really, again, a phenomenal resource that most folks wouldn't even think of.
Exactly. And my job is always to come out and do the outreach and say, hey, remember I said, who's funding us? SBA. And by the way, the Business Action Center of New Jersey does fund us as well. Who are they? Government agencies that your tax dollars go to. So these are your tax dollars at work already. So come and take advantage of us. Like I said, our counseling, it's confidential, which is great, which gives you the opportunity to really open up, especially when it comes to financial matters, and move forward with that and say, okay, I know that they're not going to discuss it with anyone else. And it gives us an opportunity to look at all the other resources that are out there and see what is it that we could bring to the table to make your dream happen.
That's great.
So for us, it's always a wonderful thing. I've been at it for over 9 years. It's one of the best things that I love about my job. It's sitting with our clients and watching them go from the infant stage, if you would say, all the way into a productive stage. So we
Right.
see it year after year. I mean, part of the things I do want to share with you is some of the statistics about our own particular center and how we've impacted the Monmouth and Ocean communities.
Sure.
So in 2016, we helped 69 businesses get started. So they
Nice.
came to us, and we made sure that they took care of paperwork, financially sound, were able to move their business forward. With helping them financially, we were able to help them with infusing capital into the economy at the rate of $5.1 million.
Nice.
Total clients that we helped for 2016, one-on-one counseling was 288. We held over 70 events throughout the year, and that included some training events, and we do have some specialty events geared either to the food service industry, because we do live by the Jersey Shores.
Yes, we do, and we all like to eat.
Of course. So we make sure we concentrate on that industry. We have one geared to women, which is called Women Entrepreneurs Rock, and that's coming up in October at the Stone Pony. So any women that are out there who want to attend, it's a little plug for our Women Entrepreneur Rock event. Also, we counseled in terms of delivering counseling hours. We did over 974 hours. And a survey, we do an annual survey, well, our headquarters does. And from that annual survey, they received a response that 95% of our clients would refer us to someone else.
That's great.
So while we aim to please everyone, we
Yes.
can't all the time, but we're working on that number. And 81% of the businesses that we help are in business. So
Excellent.
our clients, they're definitely in business, and they're looking to move forward, and they do impact the community that we live in.
Yeah.
So for my job, it's part of it is to say, hey, you know, we're here
Mm-hmm.
to help any which way we can, especially when it comes to business ownership. It's making sure that you get off on the right foot, you know.
Just critical.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So we're almost out of time, but I know there was a good question about technology, because that's something new in the last, say, 10, 15 years with the internet and all that sort of thing. Can you quickly give us a little few pointers on that?
Sure. And the point of technology is that the world changes based on technology. And it's important that anyone who's going into business, you're going to have to embrace technology.
Yeah.
We make it easier for you to embrace technology
good.
and not take it on like, I can't do this. You know, there's a program for everyone. There's a skill set that will be developed, because if you're going into business, competition is there. Competition is using technology. So our job is to show you there's no need to be afraid of technology. I know
That's
some
great.
people see social media and they lose it.
Right, right.
So my job is to say, don't lose it, come to us. We have programs that can help you from soup to nuts when it comes
great.
to starting and running your business, including anything with technology.
Which is great. And we have to wrap up, but I do want to thank you for your time. I appreciate everything that you're doing for the community, and great to have you on the board. And really
you.
appreciate our audience for being here. We look forward to seeing you next time on Community Connections. Thank you.
Thank you.